Hey everyone, welcome back to Bucky's Customs. I'm going to show you how to replace your anti-backlash nuts. Now I know that sounds a little weird, but why do I have to replace them? Well, they may get wore out. They're a printed part, so they're made out of plastic and they ride on your lead screw, which is metal. And yeah, it probably could wear out over time. There's an adjustment nut, as you know. If you look in the resources page, it'll tell you there's an adjustment nut that you need to snug that up and keep that adjusted over time as that wears out. And then eventually, like our wheels, our downrim wheels, they get wore out enough where they just don't have any more adjustment and you have to replace them. Now, I don't think I have to replace mine. I am getting close. It's been 3 years almost since in September it'll be 3 years since I've had the Longmill MK1. And you know, I do a regular maintenance on it all the time. I do a regular maintenance and it, I believe, has helped prolong the life versus, you know, leaving it piled full of dirt and dust and whatever. I just keep it clean. It's a machine that has moving parts. I've always been taught, keep it clean and take care of it. It'll take care of you. So I am going to, in this video, show you how to do these anti-backlash nuts. Now they're really, really important to the Longmill because they help drive both the Y-axis, you know, this X-axis gantry. This whole thing goes back and forth on the Y on these lead screws using the anti-backlash nuts. There's one on each side that when you assembled your mill, you knew that you were screwing them things through there and attaching them to your gantry here. So I'm going to show you how you can kind of remove that. But I'm going to give you a little tip. The tip that I kind of realized in the beginning, when I put my Longmill together, there was a bunch of these little nuts. And, you know, they were very tiny and they fit in these parts, but they didn't really stay in these parts. So when I got this extension and I took everything apart to put it together again, I used CA glue to hold all those nuts in. So that, now I don't have to worry about it when I push that screw in. I can catch that nut and tighten it up. All right, let's get started with this, so stick around. I'll be right back. Hey, before we go any further, I want to say a big thank you to our sponsor, Sienci Labs, the makers of the Longmill benchtop CNC, just like the one we have here in our shop. Go to their website, cienci.com, and order your mill today. You'll be so happy you did. Now let's get back to this week's project. Okay, the first thing we're going to need are some Allen wrenches. And the second thing we're going to do is we're going to unscrew these two nuts, or these two bolts, on the anti-backlash nut on the side of your gantry, and that's what holds that in. And the reason why we want to remove that is so that we can slide this back, because that will free up this X gantry and we'll be able to just push it back out of the way, exposing the backlash nut. So we'll do both sides and we will push it back. The Z out of the way, so we're just going to unscrew this. These come right out of the nuts. Do that to this side as well. Now you can also use a low speed drill with one of these Allen bits in it to do this, but I would recommend you don't do that with these plastic parts, only because, you know, they got some torque, so you really don't want to screw that up. So now if you notice here, this is free. We'll be able to push this back right out of the way, exposing both our anti-backlash nuts. You can see the adjustment screw. You can see what I've done here. I put a little tape on there. Now I'm going to take that tape off. That was just to hold the nuts in. Now over time it appears they've kind of gotten loose. The easiest way for me that I've found to remove this, unscrew one side back here, and that will free up that whole lead screw, so it will pull completely out. And like I say, the best way I've found is just to pull it out and just spin it, take it off, and then we'll spin another one on. They go on real easy. That's the best way I've found, because it comes out the front. And then we'll go through the process and show you how to tension that, because you do want tension on this after we put the backlash nut back on. Okay, so the new ones are a little tighter, okay? And the easiest way I've found to get these in properly straight is to run the screw through correct way and then put the nut on. That will keep the nut straight, and then line it up in there, and then just tap it in with a little mallet to get it in there. And then I'm going to put a little CA glue on either one of them. See, these are the new ones, so I think they're a little bit. And we're going to do the same thing with the other one. And once we get this done, we'll be able to we'll get this one apart, get the other one apart, and pull these lead screws out. Okay, now you can see there's a little junction here. One side of this side screws down to the gear on the motor, and then the other side holds our lead screw. And we want to remove this side now. Just want to unscrew that. Get that unscrewed. Now that takes the tension off of our lead screw and allows us to pull it out. You see that? Right there. Allows us to pull it out. And it allows us to go all the way forward. So it pulls it forward. There we go. So I got the old one out, and you can definitely see the amount of debris. You can see it right here where it fell out, and all of it that came out of there. So we're going to take this screw out right here, and I'm going to install that in the new one. Okay, because we can use them again, and all that does is, if I'm going to get a close-up here. Now that screw just screws in, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but it just pushes on the flat part and pushes this out to give that tension so that it's an anti-backlash, so it keeps it from backlashing. But anyway, the new one's ready to go. Now while you have this lead screw out, it's probably a good time to wipe it down, clean it up. Get yourself a rag and clean it up a little bit, get the debris out of it. And there. So now what we're going to do is slide it back in the hole, okay? And then we're going to put the anti-backlash nut. We're going to thread that through. And threads through rather easy. So we can slide that all the way down. Okay. And before we can put this drill bit back together on here, screw this down, and we can wind it back up. So now what we're going to do is simply put that back in down here all the way. Okay, put it all the way in, got it all the way in. Now we're going to use our wrench and we're just going to tighten this down really good. Make sure that it's in there, and it is. There's no flex. There is flex because we are not attached to our gantry yet, but nothing there. So now that I've taken that apart, I've just put it together with no tension. And when I put this together initially, I held on this outside with a pair of vice grips, and then I slowly tensioned this nut to pull so that it didn't have that wobble, and that's what we're going to do now. Okay, we'll adjust it so we can get in there. Okay, just like that. That'll hold that. And then we can take and unscrew okay. Now we're going to take a wrench give it a little tension there, and then we're going to tighten this back up. There we go. Unhook that. So now we have some tension on that lead screw. You don't want it sagging. So now we have tension on the lead screw. Obviously, we don't want it sagging. And now we can adjust to snug, okay? Our, like I showed you with this before, you're going to want to take it in all the way until it stops. And then my deal is just a touch, maybe 1/8 of a turn, not 1/4 of a turn. You just want it snug in there so that it can't move, puts pressure on that, and what it does, your lead screw goes through here, so this kind of opens like that and puts pressure on the lead screw so that it doesn't backlash on you. So, all right, that's that. We're ready to, we're gonna do the other side, and then we'll attach our X-axis gantries, and we'll be back in business. We'll get this thing running again. Now I've got the other side done. We're going to move this gantry, this X gantry, up to both sides. I'm going to kind of measure first, make sure I'm close so I'm not skewing it in any way. And then we'll attach, and we should be able to, before we do that, we're going to adjust the anti-backlash screw itself to make sure that that's got the right tension. Remember I said up to where it can't go anymore, and then just give it about 1/8. Just enough tension to make it happy. So we'll do that on both sides, and we'll measure and screw them up to about the same, and then put this thing back together and get her moving. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to screw this in, get the other one screwed in, that one goes in the bottom, and then they come into the nylock or the nylon nut casing, or whatever you call that, and that puts tension on that, so it keeps them from backing out. So 1/4 turn is really all you need. You don't need to lock them down so tight that, you know, it twists the wrench. All you need to do is get them tight and then give them a little 1/4, and that's it, really. So we'll do the other side. Might take a little finagling, but we'll get her in there. So once you get one going, oops, something ain't right. Something ain't right there. Well, that's why. Okay. You know, done this a few times. Not as many as, say, Sienci Labs, the guys there, but, you know, I've got that one in upside down over there. So I just got to flip it over, and I mean, it would go in, but it's not the right way. The anti-backlash nut needs to be on the bottom over there. It's on the top over here. And now that we got these started, it'll be a lot easier. So there. You can see these nuts need to be this way. So we're going to flip this down like that. Then we can slide this across. There it is. Okay, we got this side in. Okay, so now we can screw these in. Get them tightened in. You can feel the tension from the nylock nut that is in there. Now let's go back to this side. Tighten these down same way we did the other side. Okay, so we are good there. I just want to double check, make sure that everything is good here, nice and tight. I've already adjusted all my wheels so that they're the proper tension, and we're good to go on both sides. What I like to do is I like to take tape measure and measure from the front of my gantry and get a measurement there. It's about 2 5/16. Make sure that we're the same on both sides. We are not, so we're going to adjust this. We just turn the lead screw. Two and 5/16. 2 5/16. Okay, so they're parallel. We already know our y-axes are perfect because we never unscrewed them. So we just need to keep this from being skewed out. So every once in a while I like to measure. That's a good tip for you. Measure the front. Get a measurement off the front of the gantry. It's constant to the face of the foot, and that's where I measure it from. I even made, I think I got a block here. I even made a block that I can put in here that I can do on both sides, and I just screw the gantry one way or the other to get it up against, and then that puts me parallel or perpendicular to the y-axis. Let's see if we can't get this thing to move. We'll do a home. I've got that running a little slower. You notice there's no bouncing. There's no bouncing or anything like that because we really tensioned our lead screws, and that's the way they should be. You know, just to make sure that you got some tension on them. Okay guys, that's about it. It's all done. I've got new anti-backlash sneakers on, and they have some tread on them. If I didn't have to run the camera and got right to this, it'd take about 5 minutes aside. And it's really, really easy to do. As you can see, they come out, they go back in, you do an adjustment, and you're done. You're back up and running. If in the future, I mean, I had no issues with mine. This machine is 3 years old almost, and I wanted to make sure that, hey, it's the only part I haven't done, let's replace it. So, not because I had problems, but if you're having some issues with your cars a little bit, they're a little off or whatever, that could be it. Replace them and you know, try that out, or put some tension. I would try tensioning your nut, your backlash nut first. Give it a little tension, and that'll remove that bouncing, that backlash that you get. But you know, you saw how much debris came out of them when I took them off, and I just know they do wear out. I mean, that's true. Obviously, if we keep our mill as clean as we possibly can, as often as we can, I usually do it once a week. I have a Saturday maintenance. I go through the mill, I clean it up. If you enjoyed what you saw, click the like button. That is a big help for this channel. And if you haven't subscribed, you're seeing me for the first time, you know what to do. Click the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and let YouTube let you know when I post again. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe out there.